Welcome back to the ShoeStringRacing YouTube channel. Today we're going to go through what it actually costs to build this budget challenge truck behind me here. So let's get into it. The total for this truck here is to formally introduce the truck to you guys that you've already seen a video or maybe two at this point of this truck in the background here. And this is basically the star of the show. So I'm going to get out of the way and introduce you guys to Scruff, our budget winch truck. Quick breakdown of the truck. So it is a Discovery 2 TD5 chassis, obviously TD5 powered, manual, normal transfer case, running some custom made props to Discovery 2 axles, rear radiator, chase bar, all those cool gubbins on the back. So a quick background on the truck for those that might be interested. It is from what we know, it is a Whitbread chassis, approximately 10 to 15 years old, the chassis itself. It's been owner to owner up and down the country until it ended up here in Dorset for the second or third time, I believe. Truck's never actually been finished or seen an event until our ownership, so it was nice to actually see it out doing things and getting the use it deserved. Underneath it's grey. We've wrapped it pink because pink on top. But yeah, it's a pretty simple truck really, with your D2 axles, hydro steer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the price that I've paid for everything, or an estimation of what it cost, and then we'll do a breakdown at the end, or a total at the end, of how much this budget winch truck has cost me. Obviously, first thing that happened, bought the truck. I bought it as engine, gearbox, axles, and it had some springs on it, and a set of like 33-inch wheels and tyres. It cost me £1,500, and it come with an ECU as well, which absolute steal of a buy. It come with no accessories on the engine at all. It was completely naked, nothing, no intake, no alternator, nothing down here. I think it didn't have an intake. It might have had an intake, but yeah. So it's 1,500 quid base price. That's what we're starting at with this thing. Also, forgot to mention these seats come with it as well. He was basically throwing them out, so I was like, I will have those. Thank you very much, sir. So one of the first things we did was we got all the accessories off a breaker engine. We'll start the engine. Why not? So we've got a London & Essex 24-volt alternator, obviously standard turbo. I made this because I didn't want to pay the money for a proper one. EGR delete. It is a cut down or extended and thinned out standard wiring loom that I've turned into like a standalone loom, deepening some things. Normal belt and pulley system, normal alternators down there. So we'll say engine, that alternator there is £150, I believe. And we'll say all the bits that we had to put on the engine to make it work will go to, we'll say about £200, I reckon. Once it was up and running, we obviously done shocks and springs set up for our first event and a load of play days that we done. So the shocks, bump stops, they come in at, I think the fronts I got at show very cheap. So I think we're about £400 into that original setup. Obviously, A lot of that is being transferred to the new setup, which is air shocks. So we won't have the price in there for the old setup, just the new setup, which is £420 for the 14-inch coil air shocks on the front, and the ones on the rear were 16-inch, but they're second-hand, so they were 400 quid. So that brings us up to £820 for the suspension. Now moving on from suspension to steering, I'm doing a kind of a quick breakdown on it just to not have a super long video. As you can see, we have an orbital valve in there. That is from a forklift. I paid £50 for that on Facebook Marketplace. It's working so far. It probably could do with a service. And we're running a Discovery 2 steering shaft up to this steering wheel. And it's still adjustable, which is handy, I suppose. But yeah, so that ran to that. That was £50. The Hydrosteer ram cost me £150. Now, it cost me £150 because it was bent. Yeah, so it was very cheap because it was very much broken. As you can see, it still needs some work because it's not quite straight, but it's good enough for what we're planning to do. Hopefully we don't bend it again, because that was it's kind of a game stopper for us. I'm going to have a look at the mounting because it looks a little bit crooked. Might have hit that on the way down, but it's something I'm going to have to check. But yeah, Hydrosteer, it come with the links and everything for £150. So it brings the Hydrosteer setup to about £200, but then once you add in the fittings and hydraulic stuff, we'll go £250 for the steering setup. Next thing that happened was we bought this dash from Tomcat Motorsport, which are right there. UK company. It's a fiberglass dash. I think it was £230, which is a lot of money, but it's what this thing had mounts for already, so we put that in. I do have plans to change this to an alley dash because I don't really like the fiberglass. It's really hard to work with. But yeah, it was £230 for that, so we'll add that to the total. And then obviously wiring and such. Wiring wise, I don't know. We got to be at a minimum £200 into wiring and switches and all the things you don't think of when you're doing it, so like fuse boxes and stuff like that. But yeah, so we'll add £200 for the wiring. So I think at that point we're coming up to the lovely about £3,000. You can see me working it out here as we go because I'll lose track of voice. Radiator I already had from an old build, so it doesn't really count. Fuel tank is China's finest. I think it was £150. But yeah, it runs down in here in the depths, you can't really see it, is a Suzuki Vitara fuel pump. So I think he was about 50 quid. Harnesses I had also, so I'm not going to include that, but you know, they're anywhere from 100 to whatever. Like, there's unlimited budget you can do on straps, but we'll add that to the budget anyways, just for the sake of it. The next thing to get added was a locker and a pegged casing. The locker I got with a ARB, single ARB air pump, which is in there, air compressor. I actually got this for a complete steal. So I paid £150 for the locker and the compressor because the crown wheel was shattered and he thought the locker was toast. Pegged casing I actually got for 60 quid at a Land Rover show. So the whole front locker setup, we're probably about £260. Prop shafts on this, it's a rear prop shaft on the front and a rear prop shaft on the rear, cut down and re-welded. You can spend endless money on props. I probably should at some point once the budget allows. But yeah, so the prop shafts are just ones that we've made. It is really dirty under here. I need to give it a proper bath. But yeah, they're ones we've made. Now for a big thing, wheels and tyres. So I actually part X the wheels and tyres that were on it to someone for these. So these are 38.5 by 16 Maxxis Trepadors on some beadlocked Challenger wheels. I think they were up for £900 for a set of 5, which I didn't think was too bad. The spare's fairly chewed up. Obviously these aren't new by any means, but they got more than enough tread for what we want to do, and it was within the budget, which is always ideal. Now the keen-eyed of you will see this at the rear. It's a trail gear creeper joint and an A-frame that doesn't look like any A-frame you've ever seen in your life. That's because I made this. I made it after we put a standard style A-frame ball on this and then ripped it out at a play day. I'll see if I got a photo. But yeah, we ripped that out. So I got a trail gear joint, made these plates up, remade the A-frame again, which is still a bit notched weird, but whatever, it works. Yeah, I think all in this situation, probably £100. While we're back here, we'll talk about batteries. Obviously there's one hiding under there, there's one hiding under there. These are just normal 12 volt batteries that we've got wired in series to make them 24 volt. I think it's series. And then there's our little 12 volt that runs the actual truck. And then inside we've got a gauge there and a gauge there, so we know what's happening. I think batteries, realistically, they were old because they were, thrown out kind of things. That was old, but I think we could safely say like £300 for batteries if you're going to do it. So now on to things like accessories. Realistically, that was the price of the base truck. All the things needed to get it running, driving, and doing bits. If I've missed something, and you think I've missed something, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I think that's everything we did to it to get it to its first pay and play. Now, accessory wise, obviously you got one big one in the front here, which is our Terra Firma twin motor winch. We will do a video on this on its own as soon as we got some more rope back on it, because obviously taking the rope off to wash it. This fair lead here is made by Project Plazma. It's this is a test unit just to make sure it's strong enough to put up with the abuse we're going to put it through. But yeah, it's held up remarkably well. Looking forward to working with these guys more in the future and hopefully get some of these out to the public. So RRP on this unit is about £1,120, give or take, depending who you buy it from. We got ours from TFR4x4.com. If you guys go over and check them out, let them know that you've come from this video. Helps us out greatly. But yeah, it's been amazing. It's taken a lot of abuse. We also have air free spool on it. It's been a very, very good winch for a third of the price of obviously like a giggle pin or a red winch or something like that. It's not that. It's not a giggle pin replacement. It's not a red winch replacement, but it is a fantastic middle ground between a low line, an 8274, and then, your big boy twin motor winches that you're paying, £3,000 upwards for. But I've been pleasantly surprised with that. A lot of people have been surprised by it as well. And yeah, it's just done very well so far for us. We've got a second one to go on the rear. It's not on there yet, but obviously you don't necessarily need a second winch, but we're at it to the budget anyways. It was second hand, so it was, I think, £400. It's not a Terra Firma one. It's a very old twin motor winch, but yeah, it was 400 quid, so I'll add that to the total. Now on to lighting. Obviously we've got these 4 lights at the front. They are fresh from Alibaba, so I think they were about 60 quid landed in the UK. That light bar was £20 off of Facebook Marketplace. That one was about, I think, £50-60. And then this chase bar, the sun is in the way, from the guys over at Chop Shop Lighting, was about £300, I believe. I got to check that though. I'll put the correct number here somewhere. Sorry, correction. This is £280 from the guys at Chop Shop Lighting. And that is about it for the lighting, aside from I've got some very, very cheap LED strips in here. I think was £10 for the pair, just so we could see what we're up to. Now I want to get into miscellaneous stuff. So I mean, like shock turrets, tubes that you're buying, little tabs you're making, nuts, bolts, washers, the things you don't think about that add to all of the price, and you know, airlines, fasteners for the door, you know, welding wire, spray paint, all of that stuff. I'm going to put I don't know if it's over or not, but I'm going to go with £500 in random gubbins for building a truck. Things you don't think about, you know, tech screws, crimps, stuff like that, just to keep it a bit more realistic to an actual budget. So the last things I want to go over price wise is what I'm going to call regulation stuff. So things you have to have with you if you want to go racing. You got to have a fire extinguisher on the inside. We also have a fire extinguisher on the outside. It's always handy to have two, because if you use one fire extinguisher to put out someone else, and you then have no fire extinguishers in the car, you can't run because you've got no fire extinguisher. So that's your day done. So at least if you have two, you're doubly within regs. Also in here, we have a waterproof, it's in a lunchbox, first aid kit. You have to have that. You also have to have isolators for engine, each winch. So we've got front winch and rear winches in there. Obviously, second fire extinguishers here. You've got to have recovery gear. You have tree straps, shackles. You actually, a lot of these events, you have to have 2 tree straps. So we have 2 of these terra firma ones. You also have to carry a spill kit. So in this box here, you can just about see it, is a spill kit. Depending on what regs you're running to, it depends what literage that spill kit needs to be. Obviously, you've got to have harnesses, but we've already been through that. Harnesses. You have to have grab handles for your passenger. So mine are on the roof. They are holding up well, just to give them somewhere to hold on, to keep them safe. Obviously, speed events, window nets, and brake lights. So we don't run window nets because we're not doing speed yet, and the brake lights aren't wired in yet. But that chase bar will do all of that. So, yeah, we're going to go recovery gear and regulation stuff. There's probably other stuff I'm forgetting, like helmets and intercoms, but that is down to your personal preference, how much you want to spend on that. But for recovery gear and regulation stuff, I would say, if we're going to put helmets and stuff into it, I bought my helmet second hand. You could easily spend, I'm not sure what I spent, because we've had sponsors help us out massively with fire extinguishers and safety gear and recovery gear. But I'm going to put a conservative, I think, £600 in regulation stuff. So that's all your fire extinguishers, your isolators, just making sure it is correct. Obviously, she's missing the bonnet because we cooked that at Belrude. But yeah, that brings us to the end, really, of the breakdown of this truck and what it's cost and just what it is, what you need. We can try and do a video on regulations. Obviously, I'm very new to it, so I'd have to ask some opinions of other people that have been doing it a lot longer than me. But total for this truck here is 7,800 and whatever that little number is, because I can't remember because it's on my phone over there. But yeah, just under £8,000, which I don't think we've done too bad for under £8,000. Hopefully the video you guys will see after this or before this is us putting the air shocks on this truck. Obviously it's a bit of a sneak peek because the fronts are already on. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one when we're putting the rear air shocks on this thing. So I'll see you later.